Some good old Rochester. Brutal. This was part, what's up Trav? Mr. Trav Webster. Puncture Wound. Check out Puncture Wound. But check out Disgorge. They were unfortunately a short-lived Rochester band. And I would say that these guys were one of the originators of slam also. But without being slam, right? Cheers, people. No, but Puncture Wound from Australia. Check it out. They just released a new album. What would you call it? Complete Carnage of Coagulating Cacophonous Corpses. So that's the latest from Puncture Wound. Trav, I don't know if you want to put the link on there. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Yeah, so what's going on tonight, people? What's happening? Just hanging out. We're gonna talk. Talk to somebody tonight. Mr. Tom. We'll be bringing you up. Are you guys into comatose music? Got some mass infection there. Shout out to our buddies in Embludgeonment. Oh yeah, some good tech. There you go, Phil Pattison. One of my best buds there, just tuning in there on the other end of Rabbit Dog Films. He's hanging out. He's hanging out in Hamilton, and that's what's going on. So Phil, we miss everybody. We all miss each other, right? That's what's going on now. They just released, Comatose just released all the Mortal Decay. So yeah, make sure to check that out. So Trav's putting up the link to the Puncture Wound Bandcamp. So you want to go check that out, Australia boys. A little head split there. You guys are fans of Head Split Records? It's fun to get these flyers and stuff, because then when you go out, you just hand them out and give them away to everybody too, right? Any fans of Repulsive Echo Records? You know what? I have this thing with this album. I remember when it came out. You see it, you know, people raving about it or whatever. But you go on out, you pick it up, gut it. Bleed for us to live, right? After the first song, you can turn off the record. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of myself. It's not for me. I don't know. But hey, we're all allowed to like our own things, right? That's the whole point. So yeah, Mortis Skulls on there. I'm Malevolent on there. I got Malignancy. They put out the what the hell is it called? Malignant Future. I should know that. But yeah, totally. And then our buddy John Grimm. He's in the band Ectoplasma from Chile. So he started a label himself called Spawn of Flesh Records. And as you can see, they put the Slugathor out, Funebra, Reveler. And he does a zine also. So that's pretty rad. Horror movies, death metal, totally. But if you haven't checked out Ectoplasma, the band Ectoplasma, then you need to get yourself checked. Literally, man, this is some good shit. Grave Plague, right on. So yeah, Spawn of Flesh Records. Good old John, man, he's a good dude. He's trying to do stuff for the scene. And this is what's going on here. Always takes you back when you start looking at these fanzines. Oh, hey. Nice. Right beside Church of Disgust. There's a pair. There's a pair. But anyways, yeah, good shit here. Maggot Stomp. I'm sure we got some Maggot Stomp fans out there, of course. Of course we do. Anyways, we got to bring this up. Hello? Oh, where is he?
Is it working this time?
There he is. What's up?
What's up, man?
What are you doing?
Getting ready for this, I guess.
Ooh, what are you drinking in there? Is that just coffee?
It's tea.
Oh, just tea. Tea's good though. Tea keeps the immune system up and,
Yeah.
and does wonders for you.
We'll do everything we can at this point.
Right? We can take all the help we can get. Yeah, totally.
That's right.
So, this is Mr. Thomas Haywood out in Ohio, and he runs Redefining Darkness Records and Seeing Red Records. Why the two labels?
They started in 2015, and I was kind of researching the climate at the time, and I noticed the labels that were excelling at a faster rate were more niche. So, I'm a musician, I'm a fan of all music, and just happen to be more on the extreme side, of course, with most of my taste. But I figure if I split it up between kind of the evil shit, so the death metal, black metal, keep that Redefining Darkness. But then with Seeing Red, I can do whatever I want that's kind of extreme, different. I can kind of release whatever I want, whether it's post-punk, grindcore, doom, whatever.
Yeah, it's everything else that we like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it keeps, and it works. If you look at, especially doom labels have done this, but there's a million doom labels. Ride Easy, Easy Ride, Rise Above Records. There's so many, and all they do is all this sad stuff. So it's worked really well for them. They've built really strong fan bases, and kind of everything they release, people will grab onto, because they've built that really dedicated kind of, fan base of that style, and so it works,
Yeah, totally. So, let's go back into let's go into the roots here or whatever like that. So, you
Sure.
grew up in Ohio?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right, so that's where your base of getting into scenes happened.
Yes.
So I guess when did you first get into the extreme side of things?
My whole life, man. I grew up in a not so great area. You're in Toronto, or are you outside of Toronto?
I'm in I'm about an hour away I'm like Niagara Falls. So
Okay.
it's about an hour and a bit from Toronto.
Right. So where Toronto's really very international, you kind of people from all walks of life. Cleveland's very blue collar city, kind of like a lot of traditional U.S. like blue collar cities and steel cities. So it's very black and white when I was growing up, and we had maybe a little bit of a Puerto Rican population as well. But that's kind of it. We didn't have like a lot of different communities besides that. So and because when everyone was immigrating to work in these industries, so we had like a Polish village, and then you had like Italian village, and you had all these people congregating to what they know, people that they were familiar with because they came from the old country. So so that's who you wanted to be around because they spoke your language, or they came from where you came from, and that's just what people did back then. And so it was very segregated like that. And where I happened to grow up is a part of town called East Cleveland, and it's pretty hood. It started getting hood when I started growing up, I guess, when I was born I was born in 81. But when my grandparents moved there, it was kind of like a good place to be. There's all doctors on their street, but obviously over time, it got a little rough. So I grew up actually in a predominantly African American area. So when I first got into music, it was all hip hop and rap, and at the time, that was an extreme subculture, if you remember, in the late 80s, early 90s. So the first cassettes, like LL Cool J and all that stuff that I had, it was on the fringes of society. This stuff was not on the radio.
Totally.
It was all different. So I had that side going for me because I was one of the only white kids at school, so I was just surrounded by it. And then my cousin was kind of from out in the sticks, stream on the hip hop side when NWA and Public Enemy and all that came out. I was super into that. But then obviously the metal side really took over more.
I know. I was always the same way too. It's like I like a certain style of music, but then what's the craziest subgenre of that nobody likes that I'm probably gonna like more than anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, it was always the extreme fringes for whatever reason.
Yep.
And oddly enough, my aunt, she was in goth bands when I was growing up, and like traditional goth bands that had come from kind of punk rock into post punk.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so then I was into all that too. So I was into like kind of this dark, Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But everything kept leading me onto the outside of the circle, So I was comfortable there.
Right on, right on. So, what would you say was the first time you heard like the Growl?
It's hard to lock down exactly because I used to, and you know this, but college radio was kind of a godsend at a certain point in time.
Oh yeah.
So whether you were getting tapes, mixtapes from friends, I was kind of I was a little bit too young to get in the whole tape trading scene, but I was on the outskirts of it. So people were still like handing out mixtapes. So, dude, I'm going to make you a tape. You know what I mean? So I wasn't doing the trading from all over, but people that were local or older than me or just other friends from other cities or whatever, we would kind of exchange when we saw each other, like, hey, man, I got to get you this tape next time I see you, whatever. So I would get those mixtapes, but then also college radio was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And here we had a couple different guys. Mike Hughes, the Dayman Lost is a show. He's still going. I want to say it's on Wednesday or Thursday. It's a WCSB, which is Cleveland State University. It's like our city university or whatever.
Cool.
Bill Peters, he does Metal on Metal. I think he's been doing it for like 20 plus years. He works in the record industry. I can't remember what labels he worked for, but major labels for a long time. And so he's kind of the old school metal guy. He's like the heavy metal guy, old timer stuff, And then we had a couple other guys. I had the Watchman came later. He was like a grindcore show only. So I was listening to all these guys every week and just hit record on the tape machine, I would just have blind tapes in, record the whole show. So I first heard the Growl then. And at the time, because I had been into, you know how it is. You go down the rabbit hole. So it was Metallica and Anthrax. Anthrax was first, actually. Then Metallica. Then Megadeth. And then I think I jumped to like Sepultura before Slayer, actually. And then kind of made my way through. But once you get Slayer, you kind of go.
That's it. Yeah.
Far down. And you're just looking for more. So I was used to that style, and I heard Pantera way late too, like 92, 93, something like that. When Vulgar, like the year Vulgar came out, maybe either within that year or the year after I heard it, so I didn't hear them until a little later. But I got into all that. The first heard that Growl on the radio, I couldn't decipher anything. Like my ears couldn't decipher the music. Just sounded like a disaster. But a welcome disaster. Like I wanted to hear more.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to decipher what the hell was going on. And of course, back then it was really shitty recordings and probably demos that people were turning into the radio. And so the recordings weren't good. So that didn't help, being able to kind of decipher things either. But that was the first time. And I was not into it. I kind of fast forward through those tracks because I couldn't understand it. It was just a mess.
It's true though. Everybody says the same thing. The first time you hear that, the death metal or grindcore or something like that, something triggers you, but you're not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you kind of sit there, you go home, think about it, wake up the next day, and you're like, man, I need to hear that again. Like, what was that? And then then it just goes. That's it.
Well, it's kind of like like a horror movie that scares the hell out of you, but you want to watch it anyway, or a terrible movie like a Gummo or something like that, which is so messed up you just want to watch it over and over again. So maybe it's that curiosity, the car accident curiosity.
It totally is.
Let's rewind that and check that out again. But it was Cannibal Corpse that was the first one that I could digest, and I was like blown away.
Right fast forward to now you have these record labels, and actually, I want to do a shout out to Raw Skulls Records because you've been working with him.
Yeah.
You guys will bring that up again. You put out the Six of Swords.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you do anything extra with this?
Oh, you have the
Yeah, just the EP.
We combined both of their EPs. Oh, excuse me, both of their EPs.
Okay.
So they have that what was the one before that? It's the Polar Vortex one.
Yeah, I have it's on vinyl. Isn't that the one on vinyl too, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have
Yeah.
it, but we combined it more like a compilation essentially. So that anyone that was unfamiliar, they can kind of get everything in one shot this first time around, and then lead them into hopefully following the band, so that when they're ready for the new stuff, hopefully they have a nice little fan base already ready for it.
Totally. So you've been putting out some tapes and some demos, and
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I'm a huge tape guy myself. Even as a kid, I just never really got rid of tapes. I mean, I might not have listened to them as much, but I didn't get rid of them. But it's so cool that you guys, Redefining, are not jumping on it, just doing it because it's just what you love anyway.
Yeah, try to do it when it makes sense. If it's a really young band and they only have a couple of tracks, and it's like you really want to put this on a CD. If the quality sounds like it should be on tape, I really do try to take a lot of care and attention to these things. And maybe I hear a band and go, man, this is totally something I would have heard back in '93 or whatever on a cassette. I had on cassette, and kind of want to relive that. I guess I don't know.
Totally.
It almost feels like that's where it belongs sometimes, and when that's the case, that's when I tend to go towards cassette.
Well, totally. I mean, I got VHS up the wazoo, man. I love it. I love tapes. So, Aseptic. Let's talk about these guys.
Perfect example. Those guys sound like straight out of between 91 and 93.
Right on. And where are they based out of?
San Jose, California. And it's just two guys forever. So just two dudes. Guitar player and a drummer. The guitar player sings. And now they got a third guy who plays bass. But yeah, it's just two dudes on that.
Right on. And this is just the demo though. They just put something else out new.
Another cassette, we put on another one, Cascading Fluids.
Right.
It's cool because one of the guys from the band actually does all that artwork as well and the layouts, and he does a killer job.
Sweet, yeah, man. What a great band. Totally, yeah. Like because you sent me that. You gotta check these guys out. I'm gonna be working with or whatever. And two guys, right? You kind of think you're like, it's gonna be a sound, but it's gonna be kind of lacking something. No way, man. It's good.
I know, they play live all the time. And just the two of them, So I admire that, man. That takes some balls to do. And if anyone wants to follow the art side of things, Defaced Creations, almost like the band Defaced Creation, but Defaced Creations, you can follow him on Instagram. But it's Philip from Aseptic.
Oh, right on. All right, well, let's talk about, what's this, Effigy?
Yeah, that's a cool one. So this is a rarity, right? So this is one of those things that doesn't happen very often. But there's a fan actually of the label. His name's Dillard, and he's from Kentucky, and he orders pretty much anything I release. He's been a fan of Redefining since near the beginning, probably. He probably has almost every release we put out. And all of a sudden, he emails me and just like, hey man, I've been a fan of the label for a long time. Blah blah blah. I had this band back in the '90s. We never released this. We re-recorded it, and we'd like to get it out because these songs have never been released. And so he started sending me stuff and pictures from back then and all this. I'm like, man, this is amazing. This is like an uncovered gem. And so I got together with Ray of Raw Skull, and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we put together like this series called Forever Underground, where if and when these things happen, or maybe for some cool reissues that we got like reimbursed into people's faces now.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a whole series based on that. And so that was kind of the first one, because it was actually written and recorded in '91, '92. I think I don't know if the recordings have ever gotten lost or or maybe they never finished tracking. It was something like that, but it never finalized. So the guys kind of separated for a while. I want to say a couple of the guys ended up in a band, Abomination, maybe? Kentucky, I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
Right.
And I'm sure it's on Encyclopedia Metal, but they eventually all got back together years, 20 years later, whatever it is, 30 of them, and started doing it again. So
right on.
like, yeah, man, love to help out.
Yeah, it turns out I ended up posting a link to a sarcoma. I believe, where the hell were they from? Is it Oklahoma? I forget. Anyways,
Yeah,
actually where Effigy is probably from, because the one guy piped up and mentioned that that was his band, and then he went on to be like, well, then we ended up going on to do this band Effigy, and then that got my gears turning. And I was like, was that the same Effigy that you're working with or whatever? So that I go look at the tape, send him a picture. I go, is it this Effigy? He's like, oh shit, no way. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool how it works out sometimes.
Oh, totally. I mean, the scene is big, but it's small, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
No, totally.
We're all interconnected somehow.
We totally are. Sculpted Horror. Here's another one here that's on your label there. What's up with these guys?
It's super amazing. I stumbled across it. One of the reasons I started the labels, one was I'd been in the music industry, professional musician for some years, and had to kind of give it up, touring life and all that. And I took like 2 years off to kind of get my life back together. I had kids, I got divorced in that time. Just kind of had to rediscover myself and get my shit together. So then when I came back, I just had such a passion for it. I was looking for new bands all the time, just like I always did. And I had a lot of friends in the industry now that were doing either new things or projects. So I'm like, I can do this, man. I should I search all this shit out anyway. Why don't I just try to put some of this stuff out? So it started with helping friends. I have friends that some of them have come off of deals with Metal Blade, and one guy was a drummer for Fear Factory. All this stuff happened, and I was like, well, I'll put it out for you guys. Like, let me try this. So that's how kind of it started. And then again, it was just me hunting, but yeah, I looked for this kind of stuff anyway. So Sculpted Horror was one of those things that kind of stumbled upon me. The gentleman's name's Tim Rowland from Georgia, and he's just a one guy band.
Oh wow!
Just writes, does their thing, like a lot of people do these days. He's got a black metal project too. That's all him. That's really good. But this just really blew me away. It sounds like finished death metal, man.
It totally
if
does.
I was told anyone, you would think it was from Finland.
Yeah, from the old days, totally, man. All right, let's go through this. Appalling.
Yeah. Again, these guys are from the South. I just thought it was really unique, really different. They really effortlessly combine death and black metal like you don't really hear in a lot of modern bands. I would say they follow that whole stream of bands. I don't know if that was like between 94 and 97, maybe even 99, maybe we can stretch it, when Angel Corpse had come out and The Chasm and like all these bands that were kind of flirting on Death and Black and just really do it well. And they're just one of those bands. I just don't hear it so often anymore. And they just did it amazing. And so I really love the vocal delivery. It has a very David Vincent-esque quality where you can really make out everything that he's saying. It sounds real vicious, but at the same time, it's like David Vincent mixed with like Satir from Satyricon or something. So just really unique, and bands that I both love. And it's cool because I actually got to see them live. They toured up here with another friend's band, Death Crown, from Virginia, who it looks like we're going to be working with in the future too. And live, they were incredible. So yeah, just fortunate to work with good bands, man.
Sweet. Right on. And obviously, this stuff's released on CD also.
Yeah, we did both, which I don't always do. I'm not like a full format guy. Like I'm gonna release on every format every time.
Right.
Mostly probably because of budget, but also I think again I'm more thoughtful maybe on how I want to approach things. Like we talked about, if it sounds more like demo quality or I felt like that's that vibe, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And if it's CDs are almost easy to do. It's still real cheap these days, which is nice. Vinyl obviously is an expensive one, and while everyone wants vinyl, they just have to understand that, especially if they're not touring or doing anything, it's a couple grand that you're investing, and you don't want this couple grand just sitting on a shelf not selling. So usually my rule of thumb with bands these days is, we'll put out a CD. If it's crushing, or if we need to repress, or if it sells out, whatever it is, that's usually a telltale sign that vinyl's going to work.
Yeah.
And so that's just the business part of me working. I would love to put out vinyl for everyone.
Of course.
At the end of the day, I'd be broke if I did. So.
I know. It sucks that it's so expensive, eh?
Yeah.
But it's such a beautiful piece to have, though. Like it's the album cover. It's the there's the packaging inside, and it's a really cool format. I mean, I wish, like you said, you wish you could do every release on vinyl, but you are going to be releasing the new Acurian on vinyl, correct?
I don't know. We're gonna see. That's a tricky one for a couple of reasons. One, because they're not like an active band. That's usually a stipulation for me, more like a justification for me to press something. Because if I know they're touring, if I know they're playing out, even if we only sell 100 and we have, let's say, we do a small run of 250, if I sell 100, I know we only have 150 left, and I know they're going to be selling at shows, and we'll get rid of them eventually, that kind of thing. And this is just like worst case scenario.
For sure.
But that album is super long, man. So if it was vinyl, like one single 12-inch, probably would have done it by now. But it's a double LP, and so now you're taking that dollar amount sky high. So that's a little unnerving. So it's just me trying to be a smart businessman. It has nothing to do with that I don't want to. It's just we're going to see how this goes on CD, and if the demand is there, we'll obviously press it. So.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's just really cool to see that Mike DeSalvo, just being a legend like that, getting back into the game, and then I'm assuming you approach them, they approach you.
Oh boy, I want to say they approached me actually, because I'm friends with Rob Millie from Neuraxis.
Okay.
He plays in a couple other bands. And Tommy McKinnon as well, the drummer. I toured with both of those guys. I think we did 2 tours together. When I was in Abigail Williams between 2007 and 2009, we had toured with Neuraxis once or twice. And we just really got along, man. We were all kind of the same age. We all kind of were into the same things. We were all very chill. So we usually set up merch booths next to each other. We'd be the ones hanging out. We always had a good time. So I always had a great relationship with them. And I think they had a hiccup because that album was recorded like a while ago. Yeah. I think it was supposed to come out in like 2017 maybe, or maybe before that, I'm not sure. But they had some hiccups. Obviously, Mike had some tragedy in his life, which is really unfortunate. So there was a lot of things that just weren't right at that time. And so I'm glad to help them see this into fruition,
Yeah, totally. So what do we have coming up in the future with you right now? You have that Angerot?
Yes, here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Look, I can fit. Hopefully that looks cooler on camera than it does here.
That's Hollywood magic, isn't it?
Hollywood magic. All right. So this is the Angerot that's actually begun shipping. 2 different variants right now, black, and there's a splatter version, and that's on CD and vinyl. And this actually, a little precious gem just delivered today. This is, if you can see it from the glare, Slow Crush, Arcade Towers of Annihilation.
That's the demo.
That's the guys, yep.
Yeah,
real cool.
There's the demo there. Oh, look at that.
Turquoise black swirl.
Yeah.
So those just delivered today. We'll start shipping those out probably beginning of April. We still got to get through all this Angerot pre-orders and stuff. That comes out tomorrow. So. Right
on. So what about those guys? How did that work out? That's a good signing there.
Skull Crush?
Well, Skull Crush, but Angerot.
Yeah, I think I had been a fan of the first record. I kind of stumbled on them. I think we just started chatting because I kind of wanted to see where they were at, what they were trying to do, where they were trying to go with it, see if they needed help. I wasn't sure if they were still working with the guys that had put out the first record, and so we just started a conversation. Really got along. Chad, he's kind of the main guy. Every band has kind of that main guy, right?
Yep.
And we just really get along. We're very similar. We're both kind of entrepreneurial. We're both go-getters, grinders, hustlers. He runs this guy, it amazes me. Every time I talk to him, I feel like he's got a new business, you know. He's into real estate these days, so he does well with that. But then he runs a guitar company. He used to run Blackheart.
Oh.
If you ever heard of that,
Yep.
back in the day, there was a lot of indoor C's actually when he was running that. Now he's got a new guitar company he's just launching. He does one of these coffee companies, where I think he's got a couple bands. He's licensed to kind of do their coffee. He's done banners and all stuff for people. So yeah, he's like jack of all trades kind of guy, you know. We didn't really get on, man. But the music's fantastic. It's superb. It's top notch, professional. And this album, actually, to be completely honest with you, 100% not lying, is probably my favorite of the year so far, and will definitely be on my top 10. I listen to at least, maybe not the full album, but I listen to at least a couple songs every day. That's how much I really enjoy it. So
Right on, right on. So that's being released, or it already is? Tomorrow.
Anchor Rock's tomorrow, yeah. So they started shipping this week. They started shipping yesterday.
Sweet.
So all pre-orders should be out. I mean, they should all go out today.
Yeah, right on. What's on the horizon for either label?
Well, Seeing Red. So we haven't really talked about Seeing Red because we're just death metal guys, but there's a lot of cool stuff, especially if you're kind of open to different forms of extreme music. This actually just came in last week. Beautiful artwork. It's actually a beautiful vinyl press as well. This is Chrome Ghost out of California. It's hard to kind of see on here. Really, really heavy doom, but then almost have like a, I guess for people who are listening to relate, like a Opeth type quality.
Okay, cool.
It's very ethereal, haunting. The guy's got a really beautiful, clean voice, but it's over this super crushing, earth-heaving doom, you know?
Sweet.
So that just started shipping as well. You know, Seeing Red side's fun for me because it's, you know, I'm not listening to obviously the most extreme metal every hour of the day, right?
Can't.
So there's a band called Rotting Yellow that I really like, that I listen to a lot. There's a band called Final Body from Seattle that I really love, that I actually been trying to sign for a while in Seeing Red. So there's a lot of like maybe non-metal, but still like, you know, extreme in its own right type of music that I'll listen to. You know, because I love the Swans, and we kind of talked about some of the goth stuff.
For
too,
sure,
like,
man. Love it all.
Kind of all over the board, but Seeing Red gives me that outlet to kind of tie together all of these loves I have and hopefully help some of these bands out. So fortunately we have that Chrome Ghost, and actually one right on my wall here, Pale Mare from your hood.
Oh, right.
It's got to be close, Toronto.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
No shit.
It's next week, April 3rd. They sound like if Motorhead was Doom or something.
Right.
Sludgy Motorhead. So those guys, I feel terrible for those guys, man. They're super legit, ready to do anything, to be on tour for a year or whatever. And they had gone through the whole process of getting U.S. visas for a year. Because I think you can do like a 6-month one, or you can do like the full year.
Right.
And the full year, which if anyone's tried to do that, is super expensive. And so they went through that whole process, got it done, paid for it, so they could tour. They were going to play Psycho Smokeout, California, big festival out there,
Yep.
Doom and Stoner. And now everything's canceled. So I really hope, as these things settle down and clear, that you know, hopefully the U.S. government or the embassy, wherever they got to talk to, will kind of grant them an extension for all that money they paid. You know, but I'm really feeling for them right now. So if anyone is into kind of stoner doom and sludge stuff, check out Pale Mare. They can use the support right now. So.
Sweet. We're all about support. So you mentioned that you were in some bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you play guitar, bass?
So it's kind of funny. I went to school for music in Los Angeles for percussion, from like 2002 to 2004-ish, something like that. And I was auditioning for drum gigs kind of all over. I actually had auditioned for To Eternity. This was in probably like 2005, 2006. And I actually got that gig, but things just didn't work out. I was literally going to move to Saskatchewan, man. It's crazy. I was like rented a car, I got a loan out, all these things. Like that's how close I was to going, and things didn't work out on their end. And I'm glad it happened before I got out there. But I did a few other auditions or whatever, and then like nothing happened for a while. And so I moved around. I moved to Cincinnati. I moved back from LA to Cleveland, then to Cincinnati for a little bit. And then when I got back, one of my best friends actually is like the best guitar player I know or ever have seen play. And he was asked by another mutual friend last minute to fill in for an Abigail Williams tour. Apparently, their guitar player bailed like less than a week before their tour, and their tour was with Dark Funeral and Enslaved. So it was a big tour for them.
Wow.
They had just started. They had just started. So that was like 2005, 2006. I think this was 2006. And so my friend's, like I said, he's amazing. So I think within like 2 to 3 day notice, he learned everything. They flew him out to a gig in Oklahoma, because I think their one guitar player, the guy that was leaving, he did like one gig with them to get him going. He went home, and then they flew him to Oklahoma to meet at that like second gig. And so he crushed with them. And when they got back, they broke up. So after that Dark Funeral and Slave tour, the band broke up due to, there was a girl in the band at the time, there was tensions and people dating and shouldn't have been dating maybe, whatever. So those things happened.
Yeah, hey.
But, we started a new project. So my friend, his name's Mike Wilson, the guitar player. Him and Ken's the main guy in Abigail. He is Abigail Williams, essentially. Those two guys were writing for a new thing, and they got me involved. So I was actually playing drums. It was called Born of Fire. And long story short, that project eventually got signed to Roadrunner Records, actually. But it never saw the light of day. We got within like 6 months, something like that.
Oh.
So that's unfortunate. But I had switched to being a bass player in there because I got really drunk one night, and I nearly broke my foot. I couldn't play. And we had no bass player at the time, and I'm like, man, I didn't work this hard for this long with you guys. We're getting signed to Roadrunner. Like, I'll do whatever. So I sold one of my drum kits, I bought bass gear, and I just started.
Cool.
So,
Right on.
But because of a band called Born of Fire, people thought I joined Abigail, but that wasn't the case. It was Born of Fire. What happened is sometimes the process, especially with major labels, takes forever. And they're courting you, and maybe you have one guy courting you, and they're trying to convince the rest of the team to sign this band or whatever. So Mike Gitter was our A&R guy, and he signed like Kill Switch and Opeth and Cradle. He had gotten them all onto Roadrunner, and he was our guy. And so he was like, look, man, I don't know when this is going to happen. Why don't you guys, as a unit, if you're getting all these Abigail Williams offers, because as I mentioned, Abigail Williams had been done, but they kept getting tour offers. And so we were doing this Born of Fire thing, but we were just writing and waiting around till Roadrunner see what was going on. And all these tour offers for Abigail were coming in, and Gitter was like, you know what? Why don't you go out with the crew you got, do your Abigail Williams runs, and then at least if you guys are gelling and vibing, like, let's see how it goes. Let's see who comes out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Better to do it now than when you're signed with us.
Yep.
And so we did. And so my first tour ever was amazing. It was with Vader, Malevolent Creation, Cattle Decapitation, us, and then it was a band called Bale Maya's first tour ever, and they've become a big, they're not really deathcore, but they definitely fit more in that.
Yeah, totally.
In that realm, it's real technical. And Like This City was on that tour as well. They were more like the thrash. They had a chick singer too. Nice guys. So that was my first tour ever, man. So touring with idols, Invader and Local Creation, becoming friends with the Cattle guys and all these guys was a surreal experience for sure. So I toured with them from 2007 to 2009. was just, I had a kid in that time that I never stuck, first year of life I completely missed essentially.
Yep.
And was already married. I'd gotten married before I started touring, and she kind of threw up the white flag. But and so that's kind of when I called it quits. I think the tour we were about to go on was co-headlined with Goatmore, us. I don't know if you remember that band SWATs on Nuclear Blast. I think the successful right apocalypse across the sky SWATs.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it was them. It was that band Doth. It was on Roadrunner. DAATH.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And there's another band on there. It was a decent billing, but we were co-headlining Go-To, we were swapping, but it turned from kind of a typical 45-day tour, something like that, extended to 52 days, then extended to 60, then extended to 72 days, and so that was going to be my last tour. But when it got to 72 days, I'm like, man, I can't be gone 72 days and come back with $1,000,
Yeah.
So I called it then. So it is what it is.
Yeah, understandable. I have the same with a bunch of friends also. That you end up getting these tours and you finally kind of hitting on a band that's doing pretty good, but at the end of it all and all the grind that you go through, you're literally, like you said, you're coming home with $1,000 after 50 days or whatever, right?
Yeah, it was rough, dude. And like I said, I had a house actually at the time. I bought a house, and that was when the market crashed, so I got it real cheap. But it was still there's stuff you got to take care of. So I was smart. I would work, build up money, give all the money to the wife at the time so that she was at least paying through while I was gone, and then come back and then try to find another job again. Everyone kind of goes through it that's done this. So I was a little late getting into it. I wish I had been a little younger so that I could have kept rolling. But fortunately, then I had friends. I was on a aborted EP, coronary reconstruction EP, which I call their comeback EP. They may give me shit for it, but I've been friends with Sven for a long, long time. And he had asked me to come play bass a couple of times, but I'd already been done touring, so I was like, I'm honored. I'd love to do it, but I just couldn't go back on that point. But I got to write. I think I have one writing credit, a co-writing credit on that EP. But it was cool because I got to reconnect. I'm good friends with Dirk Verburen, who's now the drummer of Megadeth, but who had played on Gormageddon. He played with Soilwork for years. And he became a good friend because he married a girl from Cleveland. And I kind of run into him, and me being a drum
nerd.
Professional drummer or whatever, because I taught percussion for 8 years actually. And so I got him teaching my students, and so when he'd be on tour, I started filling in for his students. When I'd be on tour, he would teach some of my students. It was kind of cool. Sweet. He used to actually practice at my house because he didn't have a real drum set where he was. He couldn't have a drum set. And so before he did a Devin Townsend DVD, he was like, dude, I need to play on real drums. I'm like, dude, here's the key. You can go when we're not home and just play. So Dirk would come play drums at my house to prepare for some stuff, which was cool. So we were tight. And so I got Dirk to come back and play on that Aborted. And so where Aborted kind of shifted over the years, and there were some albums in there that I wasn't really fond of. I'm like, man, we need to get Aborted back to Engineering the Dead and Gormageddon and that style. Right. And so I think we effectively did that, and they've kind of been rolling since. So I'm not going to take credit, but I'd like to say I was a small part of helping the train right itself,
Right on. And Stefan from Hideous Divinity, he's playing in it now too, a bass player, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, big time. So what's going down in Ohio then? Obviously all this shit's going down, but there's always shows happening because Ohio is somewhat of a hotbed for underground music.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, man. I have to. So I'm hitting my. I have all my music stuff and my stereo and everything back here, but you can't see it. But I'm surrounded by children's toys. This is play area / dad shit in the corner.
Yeah.
Because I'm a 2-year-old, so this is her space. But so yeah, if you got a train or anything, yeah, it's just me. I feel bad sometimes because I am married and I have 3 kids and running these labels and I have a day job and time to like go to shows or hang out, and so I'm pretty removed from the scene that's here now, other than knowing the guys from the bands and stuff. I don't get to go to shows too often. Like, if it's one of my bands, one of my artists, I'll definitely make an effort to go if I can. But I'm not as in touch as I was back in the day, for sure. I mean, obviously, I was doing everything when I was younger. But, yeah, as you know, Ohio, especially this area, has been like a hotbed for a long time.
Yeah.
I think they have that article, I don't remember if Metal Sucks did it or someone did it, Loudwire, where they did like metal per capita. So, you know, the populace of the city versus like how many metal bands in the city. And like Cleveland was number 1 or whatever. And so it's interesting, you know, if you don't think about it when you hear, but when you think of how many bands are from here, whether they're super underground or whether they're popular, I mean, we could start going back and forth, I'm sure, and connecting the dots, and it would take the next 20 minutes to get through it.
Literally.
But yeah, I grew up on Balmer. I grew up on Hemdale. Do you remember Hemdale?
Oh God, yeah. We were just talking about it with Matt Harvey last night, because I have that in the name of Gore split. So I have that, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's like a gem to me. I mean, I've had it since I was like 14 years old. You know.
Yeah.
So and it's funny because Craig, and you may be familiar. I don't know, but Craig from Hemdale, Craig Rowe, he ran a distro back in the day called Visceral Productions.
Right.
And so I used to get their little mailer, like booklet, you know, and order from him as a kid. And he wasn't far. He was probably 30 minutes from where I lived, but that was an eternity away when you can't drive and you're 14, you know. But they're one of the first to back Nile, you know. They had, like, I think they might have put out Ramses or something, like the cassette. They didn't do Festivals at Atonement. They carried it, but I want to say they helped with Ramses Bringer Award cassette or something like that. But they had been really pushing Nile. And then obviously Nile then got signed to Relapse not too far after, but they had introduced me to Nile. So a lot of these old bands were very active in the scene as well. I mean, Seraphic Decay record. I mean, and there's so many like names that no one will know that Seraphic released.
Right.
Me and you might know some, but you know, a lot of these people are like, "What the hell is this?" Can't see. Oh yeah, there you go. What record is that? Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually don't know that.
Necropsy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Necropsy on Seraphic Decay Records. I got one over there. I got another one somewhere too. Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple sitting here for sure, Brian. Yeah, so there's a lot of, you know, we have Unslaughter here. I mean, there's seminal bands that have been doing it since, you know, Unslaughter started in like 87.
Yeah.
You know, we had Purgatory back in the day. Who was that's Jeff Hatrix, who ended up being the main guy in like Mushroom Head, essentially. But Purgatory was like amazing thrash, you know. Terror, you know, not the hardcore band Terror, but Terror was an amazing thrash band.
Yeah.
Started in the 80s as well here. So there's so many of those bands that started so early, and from those bands obviously spawned other bands. A good friend of mine, Dwayne Morris, he was not a founding member, but he had been in Decrepit since nearly the beginning. But he was a founding member of Embalmer back in the day. Embalmer's had like a million lineup changes.
Oh yeah.
But like the Into the Cellar demo or Under the Oven, whatever it is.
Yep.
Amazing demo. You have it?
Yep.
And my tapes are like way across the room. Yeah. It's amazing.
There it is.
So good.
Into the Oven. There's the Embalmer demo right there. There's some death metal origins right there, Ohio.
And the vocalist on that, Toby Wolf, his style of vocals was like super different and intense. Like I'd never heard anything like it. And then the guy that replaced him, Rick Fleming, tried to mimic that, and he was on the There Was Blood Everywhere 7 inch.
Oh wow.
And it's the sickest.
It's the most disgusting EP I think that ever come out.
Yeah, so sick, man. I mean, it sounds like a disaster in a certain way.
Yep.
A beautifully disgusting disaster. I love it.
It is.
Some of those screams, those blood curdling. I mean, it makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, you know.
Yeah, and it's amazing that it's literally just the one guy doing It's literally like guttural lows, weird gargles, screams, regular growls. Like he's got every facet of growling covered. It's unbelievable.
That's Rick Fleming. He's kind of a strange dude. He ended up doing a band called Scarper's Calling after that, which I don't know if you have anything about those guys.
No.
It was kind of death grindy or whatever. But he got in that style. He was just trying to mimic Toby Wolf, like that first guy on that Into the Oven demo. And then Dwayne had gone on to Decrepit, which, to be completely honest and open with you, that was like the band for me.
Yeah.
And because I was so young when I got into them, like 13, 14 or whatever, I didn't really differentiate Decrepit from a Cannibal Corpse. I was like, they're all on the same level.
Yeah.
Even though Decrepit was really only here, they weren't really touring much. I didn't see the difference. You know, they were equally important to me. So it was cool that I got to be friends with them later, and then obviously moved on to other things. I don't know if you ever followed like any of Jim Kanye's stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he started rocking Hell's Headbanger and just getting the word out there, because he was literally at every show. Our friend Brian Pattison, from Glorious Times, he ended up booking a whole bunch of shows in the Buffalo area, Tonawanda and all that kind of area, and Jim Kanye would literally be down at every show. It was like the new Day of Deaths he put out, when Rochefort came around, Baphomet and all that. Like literally, he was there, just CDs and stickers and 7-inches and Hell's Headbanger, what's up, and everybody. And it was, oh man, unbelievable. Good guy.
He would just give shit away. Like he was just like literally an ambassador of metal. He just wanted to share music that he loved with everybody. So terrible business guy, I guess, but amazing for the scene. And he's such a unique character, dude. The guy was super hilarious. I can tell you so many stories that I had with him. We were supposed to do a band for a long time before I moved away, and I connected with him right before he passed, actually, and I saved his voicemail forever, because it was like a month before he died. He left me this voicemail, but he knew how big a fan I was of the first From the Depths. And it's hard to find. Hell's Headbangers has From the Depths. After Jim died, they put it out on vinyl. So I would say, please go out, support that, grab that. I think it's probably discounted now because they press so many of them. You have to own it. But it's totally that early style death metal, kind of flirts with, I guess the first one's still pretty solid death metal, but they started changing into like a melodic death black metal as they move forward. But all of it's fantastic. And Kanye was on the first one. And Kanye had never really done vocals before at that time. And so he was really concerned with his delivery, but he found something that worked for him. And at first it sounds a little silly, but just like King Diamond sounds a little silly at first, once you're into it, you love it.
Yeah.
And he made this whole character, like based on King Diamond, essentially. And he called himself Malcolm Judas Anthony, or Malcolm. Yeah, I think that's right. And he would dress up with like this duster and this hat and like, this whole character, man. So it was really cool that he put that much of himself into it.
Yeah.
Like 1,000%. And he would tell stories, like essentially like horror stories, like ghost stories would be the lyrics. And so there's like Curse of the Scarecrow, there's all these amazing like stories. He just did it like King Diamond style, but his own way. And the vocals are not King Diamond, by the way. I don't want to confuse them. But that was like the inspiration for the lyrical content, for the character itself. Yeah, Malcolm Judas Anthony. So, it's just one of these guys. He's a rare breed, and you wish there was more of them. But anyway, that voicemail that he left me was us talking about putting out that first From the Depths, because he knew I loved it so much. And he just wanted to have it. He just wanted to get it out and own it on vinyl. And I just started the labels, and so he's like, let's get together. I was like, cool, man, let's talk it through. And then when he passed, Hell's Headbangers came to the plate, which was the right thing. They were even closer to him than I was. But they did it after his passing, and so I picked it up right away. I got it behind me.
Nice.
But that was one of those classic things, man. So when I was listening to college radio, not only were they playing Mortician and Roger Moore and Incantation and Immolation, but they were playing all the local stuff in the mix. mix, and that's why I think for me it was all on the same level, because until I heard who it was, I just liked it.
Yep.
I was just like, man, this track is killer. Like, I gotta listen to hear who it was so I can write down and try to find their shit, you know.
Totally.
And so it'd be From the Depths a lot, it'd be Decrepit a lot. So those two bands for me are really important to the Cleveland scene, even though they're not maybe so known.
Right. No, totally. It doesn't matter, man. You just if you're a true fan of just death metal, period, you're gonna look into, say, you know, Embalmer and what's happening around Embalmer, or
Right.
Hell's Headbanger, what's happening around Hell's Headbanger, and that's the area, man. So everybody out there, you gotta dig. Always gotta dig.
Always got to. Even today, I mean, everything's in our face now, and I almost think it's harder.
It's too much now.
There's great music out there. I mean, the cool thing is we connect to everyone in the world so much easier. But the hard part is the clutter. So it's almost like before, you know, you were like searching for these things, but it was so random. Like it was like searching for Easter eggs.
Yep.
Where now it's like sifting through garbage, sifting through like a hoarder's house, like going, where is it? Where before you were just kind of getting lucky finding an egg here, there, whatever.
Yeah,
But,
totally.
But we still obviously both do it. I mean, obviously you're doing an awesome thing with the re-releases you're working on. There's some amazing stuff that you're working on. Do you have anything coming up next? Sorry.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah, it's going away.
All right. Well, the Grotesque Infection is actually in, so we'll be shipping those ones this week. And after that, we have a few bands that we just ended up signing that Centenary from Chicago.
Oh, great. That's a great band.
So we got them, and there's another one that we just can't announce right now that CDN is going to announce, not myself. So
Cool.
waiting on that one. But yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff in talks right now, and things have been fun lately. It's I don't know. I'm just feeling that spark again.
Good, yeah. It's a good thing to feel. It gets you excited, it gets you inspired, you know. And speaking of that, any news on the documentary while we got you on here?
No. I'm just sifting. I'm starting to sift through all the footage now, and
Okay.
start picking apart what everybody said, throw in our timelines, and what file and all that kind of jazz. So I'm going through that literally right now, and I mean, with all this happening, I was hoping to now that the weather's actually getting nice, to start shipping out and start hitting everybody up, because we got to get down to Pennsylvania. We want to chat with. We're going to sit down with Sharon from Dracada and Jill from Funerus, and have a little female roundtable going on, and I want to. Well, there's still a little bit to go, but we were hoping by September, Quebec Death Fest, that we were gonna finish.
Okay.
That we were trying to lay a goal that we were gonna finish filming, and then sit down with editing, because editing is gonna be the worst part.
Right. That's the rough part. Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're kind of at a standstill, because I got to go to Toronto. I got a few people at Nick Sagias from Overthrow and Tribe of Pazuzu and Soulstorm. We got Lori from Eruptions from Below magazine. She used to be a Buffalo lady and covered the scene like crazy. And there's just we just can't get out right now. So standstill. So that's why we're doing these. That's why we're doing these to fill the time.
Yeah. And I want to commend you, man, because like yourself, I'm trying to do stuff. I don't know if it's so much to fill the time, but it's just to try to do what I can to make a difference, even if it's a small difference. So
right.
I think you saw it, but I made a playlist, essentially just a Spotify playlist, which is kind of, these things are becoming the new mixtapes, and these things are becoming almost like the new tape trading, right? So I wanted to put something together of bands that I know that are struggling, that may have had show cancellations or tour cancellations or festival postponements, or even like their release date got jacked up and now they can't play a release show, or they have no way to sell their goods because now it's out. I mean, like Anger Out's a good example. Now it's out tomorrow, but they had stuff planned and that's not happening. So there's all these bands, especially the ones that are not so known, the ones that could use the extra push. I kind of love this open forum, been posting it all over, and it's called Death to the Virus. I wanted to call it like fuck COVID-19, but then, I would have problems with posting on Instagram and Facebook, so we made Death to the Virus, and an incredible artist named Albert Shea donated the artwork for it. It's really cool piece of artwork. And I did the same on Seeing Red, actually. It was something that I wanted to do for as many people as possible. So on Seeing Red, if you're more a fan of the Doomstone or Sludge stuff, it's called Rise Above the Virus. And the artist named Shane Horror donated the art, which is really cool, and it's very fitting of that style. And we have a lot of great bands on there that need the support. So if you're on Spotify, go check out, search playlist Rise Above the Virus or Death to the Virus. Both great playlists. A lot of killer bands. So if you're looking to get into some new stuff you may have not heard before, go give it a listen. All these bands can use your support. And if you end up liking something, maybe you'll go out and buy a shirt from them or an album or something.
Totally. So we have all the tags going on with all the posts that we've been doing with each other, and him posting about me and me about him and blah blah blah. So all the links and tags are in there. So I'm assuming the playlists are on like the Facebook pages and everything.
They are. I'll probably do another post. I probably do. What I'll do maybe after this, put it on our Instagram story. Probably do another playlist post either tomorrow on Facebook or the actual Instagram feed maybe. But really easy to find. All the bands are sharing it, so hopefully it's flooding kind of everyone's feed at some point or another. But
sweet.
But yeah, check it out, man. We even have like Skeletal Remains out of Cancellation, so it's not just all these bands you haven't heard of. There's a couple on there. I'm going to get this jacked up. Sanguis Yugabog.
Yeah.
Sanguis Yugabog. They're on there. They have some nice tour coming up that kind of got botched. So, and these are guys that I knew. I was actually going to originally work with them to put that out. And then they ended up getting that Maggot Stomp deal that they went for. So, happy for them. But friends, all friends. So, yeah, man, just trying to help the scene and trying to help friends and guys that can use the help.
That's all we can do, man, during these tough and troubling times. If it's not for us to just keep pumping each other, then there literally is nobody else. Because we need each other right now, right?
Yeah, we all need to kind of band together and do what you're doing and think creatively and just do it, Like, when you said, hey, I think I'm going to do this thing, and then, like, the next day you were doing it, or maybe that night, you just did it. I think a lot of people overthink things, and they're just like, oh, man, this would be real cool, and then they get in their own heads maybe, and then it just never happens, or it's just like, sometimes just screw it, man. Just do it.
Just fucking do it.
As you go. Yeah.
It's exactly what I did, because I mean, usually I do all my work with my rabid dog partner, Phil. He lives about a half hour away. So obviously we're kind of stuck at each other's place, and I'm just like, man, I'm fucking bored right now. Like, we can't go out. There's no shows. There's no socializing. Like, we got to do something, right? And now that we have this cool network with the Growl and then just everybody else that we've been connecting with, there's nothing else going on. So why not just make our own stupid TV shows and talk to each other about this shit?
Yeah, man. It's been amazing, and you've had amazing guests so far. I've been super interested, I mean, you start off with, like, Mike DeSalvo, Lee Harrison, Matt Hardy. You're doing all right.
All right. Cool, man. Cool. We're just trying. Hey, you got any last words before we sign out of here?
Well, yeah, I want to just, give a shout out to a few more friends that could probably, use some help and attention to. This is actually a band that an artist we work with, Hello Burroughs, cool black metal band. We did a promotion with True Cult Coffee, stupid glare, I can't get it. But True Cult Coffee is a great company, always involved in, obviously they do a subscription service, but giving free music away, partnering with labels, that kind of thing. He's really ingrained in the scene, does a really great job. So shout out to True Cult and Hello Burroughs, actually. And then Death Comes Lifting. You guys know this company. He does like a blog, essentially. Really killer artwork too. But it's like a lifestyle brand that he's created. It's got really great apparel. It's all based on kind of fitness. He calls it fitness for misfits, but it's guys that are into fitness fitness, but into death metal, into extreme music. And so it's funny because there's a lot of those guys. We know one of them, Six of Swords.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Powerlifting and doing all that, So they exist. One of the Hell's Headbangers brothers is like Arnold Schwarzenegger jacked, like bodybuilder jacked. So I think Zach from Death Comes With Me actually did an interview with him as well. So there's those guys out there, man, and I just want to support Zach because he's like one of us where he's always active, he's always grinding, he's doing a million things at once, he's going to a million shows, connecting with everybody. Just we need more people like that. So a shout out to Zach and what he's doing. If you haven't checked out the site, go to Death Comes Lifting. They do all kind of reviews. He runs a blog on there. He gives you workouts if you're trying to exercise when you're stuck at home here. I'm sure he's got something for you. But yeah, so just trying to get everyone connected here.
You got it. So we got all his tags, everything. Go check his stuff out. Help everybody out what you can in these situations. And if you can't do too much, then always a good share and a like and just a shout out is always helpful also.
That's all it takes. I'm going to say one more thing. Now that we have this downtime, I also, being a musician, I will say, I guess I've been really, really busy with the labels. Just with as many releases I'm putting out with both labels, it's been really difficult for me to focus on my own music. But I will have something coming out of my own here, hopefully within the next couple months. I will say 6 months. So I have a grind project called To Dust. There is actually something floating out there already now. We did a split with Ben C, which if you're not familiar with Ben C, again, bringing up my good friend Dirk Fairburen, now the drummer of Megadeth. His favorite band in the world is Napalm Death, and he's a grind head for life. So this is an outlet for that, Ben C. I want to say on the first thing he put out, it was like Devin Townsend on bass and Sven from Aborted on vocals, and on the split that we did together, so it's half To Dust, half Ben C. It's Sven from Aborted, Dirk does drums and guitar, and Shane Embury from Napalm Death is on it. So it's a really cool split. There's not a lot out there. Hell's Headbangers carries it. Give Praise, another cool grind label in Boston.
Yeah, totally.
They put it out for us. They're really great. Paul's a really great guy. So I will have a new To Dust coming out. So if you like Nasum, Rotten Sound, Napalm Death, it's kind of up that alley. I'm trying to finish this Grave Plague full length. It's taking a little bit longer for a couple different reasons, but if you don't have it already, we do have a 7-inch, and you can find all this stuff on Spotify. But it's a couple years old now. So check it out, see if you dig it. I did a band called Vintage Warlords, which is a death doom band that you can kind of also find. I don't know if there's many CDs left, but it's out there if you're bored. And hopefully, this project I've been working on since 2015 called Humanity is Cancer, which is actually the perfect timing if it was to be released right now with the epidemic going on. But Humanity is Cancer is more of like a brutal, death metal kind of vibe. It's with the drummer Lyle Cooper, who played with the Faceless when we used to tour with him from like 2007 to 2009 a lot. We became friends, and he was in Abhorrence, I want to say as well. Maybe some other Willow Tip bands. But he's an animal. He's a complete monster. But all this stuff was recorded and written back then, and just kind of been sitting and waiting for certain things. But I'm hoping, we literally turned it into my friend to get it mixed. So I think everything's almost in. I think we're finishing up a couple of vocal things. But I'm excited to have new music. It's been so long since I released anything of my own. So look out for To Dust, and look out for Humanity is Cancer. But I appreciate it.
Holy cow! You gotta do more stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like it's either get busy living or get busy dying, right?
Literally.
I'm just always busy, man.
Gotta be, man. As soon as I sit still, it something's not right. All right. Well, we want to thank Mr. Thomas for hanging out with us tonight and chatting about his record label, Redefining Darkness Records and Seeing Red Records, and everything else that they do within the Ohio community and beyond. So, thanks a lot, bro.
Appreciate you, Cam. Anytime, man. I'll be looking forward to the next shows.
Sweet. Let's do it. All right, bro.
Take care, brother.
Ciao.
See ya.
Good times, people. Good times. I'm out.